What is going on, Gen Nation? I am Spartacris here, moving the theater room back to Tuesday nights, and I have a special guest. He's on this side, actually. Zuplexity, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me again.
I'm
What's going
excited.
on?
I'm excited to have you back, actually, especially for this week, because even though it seems like the list of things we're going to talk about is not that long, it's a lot to talk about. So I kind of want to get right into it. Before we do, just if you haven't joined or subscribed, the whole nine, we're on Twitch, Twitter, we're on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, GGEN, GGEN, or Generational Gaming Entertainment Network. Make sure you join us. Facebook in particular, is where you get a lot of the updates and a lot of the announcements of the upcoming tournaments and giveaways and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you jump in when you can. And let me just make sure I got the chat up and running, because I think we might have a few people jumping in to give us their 2 cents, even though I didn't ask for it. No, I'm kidding.
Hey, 2 cents is better than no sense.
Yeah. So I already see a friend of mine, Rob Zombie 83. He makes me do this every time I'm live. Pancakes. Are you familiar, just as a side note, are you familiar with the movie Cabin Fever?
Yes, very much so.
So the little martial arts kid, when he starts freaking out, I'm pretty sure that's where Pancakes is from. I don't even remember where it's from, but I'm pretty sure he says it that way, and that's why I got to do that. So I promised him every time he says it in the chat that I'd say it back to him out loud.
Nice.
So let's just kind of jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about before we get into Loki, which is kind of the bread and butter, is Black Widow. Did you see the movie?
I have seen it multiple times at this point.
So
more attempts than full watches, but
so give me your quick review. Out of 10, how do you rate it?
It's a solid 6.
A solid 6. Okay, I don't disagree.
A solid 6.
Spoilers, by the way, for anyone jumping into the stream.
Absolutely. So I had to go back and watch it because my first full viewing of it, I had 6 idiots at a bachelor party behind me in an Airbnb running their mouths the entire time while we were all sitting there like wasting time, in Nashville. So I definitely had to go back and watch it.
That's annoying. I hate that. But you know what? I feel like because of COVID, people maybe have lost the theater etiquette, the unwritten rules. They forgot about it.
Now, these morons never had theater etiquette, but it's all right. I still love them. But anyway, I think this movie suffered from I call it New Mutant syndrome.
Okay.
For years we heard about New Mutants. Everybody was hyped up for New Mutants. Like, everybody was so excited for that movie to finally come out. And then you had the Disney merger and the Fox merger and COVID. And that movie got delayed for years and years. And then finally came out and everybody was like, oh, I think that's what we're experiencing right now with Black Widow.
I definitely don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I think if it had come out right after Endgame, or even in between Infinity War and Endgame, I think there would have been a better slate for it. I know they had originally slated it for after Endgame and after Spider-Man, No Way Home.
Far From Home.
Yeah, Far From Home.
But I don't think that. I think it should have been sooner. I think it
definitely could have been sooner. I think it would have made the movie. I don't know if it would have made it better, but I think it would have meant more to us at the time than watching it 2.5 years later. I think it suffered from it. I think it really did.
I agree.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad. It was well done. It was well acted. It was well written. I mean, it's just...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but like the whole time you were watching the movie, and this is how me personally how I felt, was that you couldn't help but avoid the too little, too late kind of feeling when watching the movie.
Yes.
It just became too much. Oh wait, what am I doing? Sorry, 1 second. I just moved something I wasn't supposed to, and it just screwed up the look of the stream. Anyway, the whole time I was watching it, it was just too little, too late, and I felt like, forget the fact that we knew what was going to happen to Scarlett Johansson's character anyway. I felt like we needed to. The excitement wasn't there because we've kind of already grieved and moved past what her story is. She should have gotten it. I mean, I've been saying it for a while. She should have gotten her own solo movie. Maybe not in phase 1, but at the at least phase 2, or they should have released this right after Civil War.
See, I kind of feel like giving her a backstory kind of ruins the mystique of the character.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not
Because
a bad
supposed
point.
to be this Russian super spy, double agent. You know, you don't know what her backstory is. You saw it in Winter Soldier when her and Steve were having the interactions in the car and stuff like that, and she's just playing it very like tongue in cheek, and you never know where she's coming from and that type of thing. You know, that's the allure of the character.
Right.
You kind of rob her of that when you explain her backstory, which is why I like that they did it after she died.
Okay.
Because
so that's an interesting take on it, because I didn't. So for me, I agree with you that you kind of ruined the backstory a little bit by revealing what happened. You know, and to me, it almost ruins the punchline of the whole. What was it? Like Budapest. Yeah, the Budapest punchline. Like that was a funny kind of through line through all her scenes, especially with Hawkeye. Yeah. And to me, revealing what happened was, in my opinion, much darker than I expected it to be, and it kind of ruins it. And then when you not that it ruins the whole movie, but when you go back and watch scenes like the very first Avengers, when that first comes up, and he's like, and this, or she's like, this is like Budapest all over again. I'm like, that's just like a fucked up thing to say. Like it's not even close.
Well, even worse is if you go back and watch First Avengers, and when Loki's talking to her in the interrogation scene, he brings up
Dreykov's daughter. Yeah,
Dreykov's daughter. And
Dreykov,
yeah. I mean, you might have been right. I'm not.
Yeah.
I can't
who knows?
Right. All those Russian names, they start melding together at one point.
It does. I mean, I guess for me, knowing what he meant by mentioning Dreykov's daughter, it's a fine way to kind of connect it. Not a big deal, but making it a joke about Budapest when now we know that in Budapest she basically killed an innocent kid, or she thought she did. It to me it almost ruins the joke in future in the rest of her appearances. But I kind of agree with you. I thought it was too little, too late, and I didn't feel like. None of it felt necessary, but as I say that, the more I watch it and the more I kind of scour for like Easter eggs and hints, I do feel like it's more of a setup for things we're going to get in future shows.
Big time. So that's what I was thinking about. It is on my watching. I watched it again today, and it's really pushing. There's super soldiers out there. That there's these government, plans for all these teams and ways to deal with having superheroes in the real world, because obviously, there's going to be a Russian program, there's going to be a Chinese program, there's going to be this program, there's going to be that program, they're all going to try and recreate what the Avengers were.
Right.
Which brings us to the end credit scene where Valentina is there trying to recruit, or she's already recruited Yelena and putting her to go up against Hawkeye, which I think is setting up the Hawkeye series. I think this movie was always meant to set up the Hawkeye series. I think the Hawkeye series is going to be something much more different than what we thought it was going to be. I don't think it's just going to be an introduction to Kate Bishop. I think it's going to be more of setting up the Thunderbolts.
Well, now does it feel to you like the same? What I was saying before about how it's kind of a setup for a lot of what we're going to see in future Disney Plus shows. I felt like it really felt to me this movie should have been. Now I know it released on Disney Plus, but it should have been broken up into a Disney Plus show of its own. The whole thing, nothing about it felt like a major MCU movie. Just on a side note, one shot just asked me if I could put my face on Black Widow's. My head on Black Widow's body in the graphic on the live stream, and you know what? Maybe that'll be the thumbnail for the YouTube video when I post the recap up. But yeah, so it felt like it should have been a Disney Plus show. I didn't feel like I don't want to say I didn't feel like we needed the Black Widow movie, but I've always been a fan of the character, and I've for a while now I felt like the movie should have come out a long time ago. She's long overdue. But this wasn't it. I don't think to wait that long, this just wasn't it. And now
that's the problem.
So to your
That was
point
elite.
about the setup for the Thunderbolts and for possibly Dark Avengers and for whoever else might be coming, the Young Avengers. Excuse me. I do think that it kind of speaks to. I said this a while right towards the end of Endgame, and I said this on a few different videos now. I don't feel like we are ever not. I don't want to say never, but I don't feel like we can get to a point with the amount of anticipation, the amount of hype, and the amount of excitement about that we had for Endgame. It's gonna. I don't know how Marvel gets us to that point again. So in my opinion, the smart thing to do would be to have multiple storylines or multiple sections, I guess, of Marvel, all kind of their own little shared universes with their own little stories. Give those time to really build up into like their own little version of Avengers Infinity War or something, and then give us the major event movie where they all converge, which is what I think is going to happen. Yeah, like the Thunderbolts could be one group, the Young Avengers is one group, Fantastic Four kind of their own group, Eternals their own group. You know what I mean? It seems like the phase 4, 5, and 6 of the MCU is going to be all about the team ups, which to me is a great idea.
I think Fantastic Four is going to be the bridge.
One shot, just throw out there. Are you aware that there's an alternate ending for Black Widow?
No, I haven't seen that yet.
One shot. If you know the ending, the alternate ending, throw it in the chat here real quick. I didn't even know that there was an alternate ending for it, unless you're talking about the after credits scene.
Oh, I heard about this. I did hear about this.
Do you know what it's supposed to
be? When Yelena goes and whistles at the grave, she's supposed to get the whistle back, and that's supposed to signify that when Steve went back to deliver the Soul Stone, he got Natasha back in exchange for the Soul Stone.
Oh. Well, I'm glad they didn't do that. I don't know that I would want them to do that.
I don't know if that's what One Shot's talking about, but that is...
he just confirmed that's it. Yeah, that's exactly what he was talking about.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I think it's a good idea they didn't do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's, we're already going into the realm of the multiverse and having all these extra, you're going to have different versions of the same characters over and over and over again, and it's going to get convoluted. I hope, what I'm really happy about is that Marvel just announced that Feige went out and had a meeting on the rules of the multiverse.
Yes.
With all of their producers and directors and everything like that. Like, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do, this is where we're going. And he's very good about that. He did the same thing with, with the Infinity Saga and how to set certain things up and everything like that. So I'm glad that they're doing that, because at least we'll have some sort of outline for how this is going to go, because otherwise this thing's going to be full of plot holes.
No, I read that too, and I felt the same exact way, because so there's two things. I'm glad they didn't use that deleted scene or alternate ending, because the MCU already is approaching a point where plot armor is a little too thick, and there's no deaths. There's no real finality to it. So far the only deaths we had that mean something are Iron Man and Black Widow, because Captain America, as we all know, is not dead, and every villain, right?
So every villain.
They kind of have an issue. I feel like they approached, or they have an issue where they need to start killing off some of their heroes and start keeping some of their villains alive. We don't need to be killing everybody off, and they're getting better. I mean, Zemo is still alive. They clearly are building up some more villains for some sort of like villain team up. Sinister Six, they found a way to bring back Doc Ock and Electro for No Way Home. Yeah. So they're trying to kind of right that wrong. And then just as a comment on the Feige meeting, I think that's just, from what I understand, the meetings are ongoing. So as the movies continue to branch out, as the stories continue to come out, they're going to keep having these conversations to make sure that they don't start screwing each other up. Because now you have time travel in the mix, multiverses in the mix. It's going to get confusing real fast.
I think Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are going to be the linchpins to this whole thing. Like,
I agree 100%. Think about how far Ant-Man has come. Talk about someone that came out of nowhere.
And it's not even Hank Pym.
No.
It's the Scott Lang Ant-Man movie.
Right. One Shot just asked if we heard the rumor of the after credits scene for Doctor Strange. Have you heard that?
No, I haven't heard that one yet.
One Shot, throw it our way, because I haven't heard any rumors. Not for Doctor Strange. I heard some other rumors, specifically about Vincent D'Onofrio coming back as Kingpin, and making an appearance in No Way
which I would
Home.
love.
Oh, that'd be
I
amazing.
would love that
That'd be
because he
amazing.
was amazing as Kingpin. Well, they already confirmed Charlie Cox for No Way Home.
They could
I
now.
think
Is that
so.
officially confirmed though? Because I keep reading it's still a rumor.
I don't remember where I saw it confirmed from, but I mean, there was set photos of him.
I feel like at this point, Charlie Cox, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, they can deny as much as they want, but the rumors are so abundant that they're going to be in the movies that it's kind of a plus at this point. So One Shot just said for the rumor for the after credits scene for Doctor Strange, Pepper goes to Strange asking about bringing Tony back, and he basically says there's no shot. So she goes and is trying to figure out how to do it with AI and whatnot. So essentially, I guess what you're talking about, One Shot, is a life model decoy of Tony coming back to the to bring him back to the MCU, which
was going to be the new Jarvis.
Yeah, he would be the new Jarvis, and that wouldn't be terrible because they can almost cast a different actor to play the character and just kind of be like, oh, this is the new Tony Stark, you know.
Yeah, I mean they've also already used life model decoys in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
But you know,
which
I feel like Kevin Feige at this point is kind of like any shows that were canon before, or he's just kind of writing them off. They don't exist.
I heard that he's trying to, from what I'm seeing is because actually Black Widow, kind of canonized a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter,
right?
Because they had the Widow program in both of those shows,
right?
Dating going back all the way to the 40s or whatever with Peggy Carter and all this other stuff,
right? But it seems like Disney seems to be doing that because they did that with Star Wars too. They basically said the old canon is gone, but now as the new books and comics and the movies come out, they're slowly reintroducing the ideas that were in the old canon. So it almost feels like Disney's doing the same thing. Like basically any of the shows that came out before, let's kind of ignore them. They don't exist or they're another universe. But we're going to bring those ideas, the ones that worked, and reintroduce them.
Yeah, I mean, I read a rumor today that they're looking to recast Iron Fist and Luke Cage, which I think would be a good idea. Even though I like Mike Coulter as Luke Cage.
Right, he was great as Luke Cage, I thought.
I think recasting is a smarter choice with those two because the shows were pretty bad.
See, so in my opinion, not to go too much off track, but Luke Cage season 1 was decent. It wasn't the best show. Luke Cage season 2 was, I thought, very good and left me off on where I was like, I couldn't wait for Luke Cage 3. And Iron Fist season 1 was just hot trash and needed to be thrown into some dumpster fire somewhere. Yeah. But season 2 again was a big improvement and left me wanting more of it. But
I don't like that.
Yeah, I can't remember his name now, but he does not need to be Iron Fist. Honestly, was his Louis Tam? I think his name is the one from Mortal Kombat. He wanted to be Iron Fist. I don't know why they didn't pick him for Iron Fist. I know he had his little role in the show, but they should give him the Iron Fist role.
So there's this whole thing about, I always feel, and I'm completely fine with certain characters being played by anybody of any race or any gender, or like the Taskmaster thing. Like a lot of people were upset that they made Taskmaster a woman, but it works for the story.
It does. It works for the story, and like, if someone's upset that Taskmaster's a woman, you got problems. Like,
I mean, you're right about that, but like, it makes sense for the story. When you take a character like Danny Rand, who's supposed to be a man of two worlds,
right?
I think making him Asian, an Asian actor portraying him, actually hurts the validity of the character.
It's not a bad point. I don't.
No, I really like I said, I'm a big believer that like there's certain characters that can be played by any race whatsoever, but it's like the same thing as you can't make Luke Cage a white guy,
right?
It just won't work for the basis. You can't make T'Challa a white guy.
That's true.
It wouldn't work as far as the inherent nature of the actual character. Like someone like Moon Knight, you could get anybody to play Moon Knight.
Right.
No, you can get anybody to play Blade.
I will. So my counterpoint to that though would be that he is an Asian American actor, and the whole like duality, man of two worlds kind of thing. You can make it so that the explanation could be that he was born in America, and then kind of came across this new role.
Think it hits as hard.
I'm sorry.
I don't think it hits as hard though.
It might not. I mean, listen, I don't necessarily disagree, and you know, that aspect, I do think that aspect of the character, the fact that it's an American guy and you know, kind of a pretty boy who becomes the protector of Kunlun, like that is a big part of the character in the comics. But I do think, especially in today's political climate, you can kind of get away with changing that, and I don't know that you're going to piss off too many people.
No.
So
I mean, just get somebody that knows martial arts.
Yeah.
At the very least, can we at least do that?
That was the biggest mistake they made, though. Like how do you hire somebody to play who is the best or one of the best martial artists in the entire Marvel universe and not dedicate the time needed to make sure he knew and looked like he knew what he was doing?
It's crazy.
Look at the amount of work Oscar Isaac is putting in to play Moon Knight. The show's not coming out until 2023, and he's already posting videos of him doing fight choreography. Even though I just saw that.
Learn gymnastics.
Right. There was a video that came out, I think, yesterday. I can't remember the actress's name, but she's going to be in She-Hulk. She's playing the villain. And she just posted a video of her. Yeah. And she just posted a video of her doing fight choreography with a stunt group already. And that, again, that show's not coming out until 2023. So you're telling me Danny Rand, I can't remember the freaking actor's name now. You couldn't give him enough time to learn? Like,
I know, I can't remember it either. Yeah, no, you're right. There's no reason as to why they couldn't get him, you know, take an extra 6 months to teach him the very basis of movie martial arts, you know?
I mean, it looked way too choreographed, way too much of like a dance. I'm a big martial arts like movie fan. I love Chinese martial arts cinema and all that stuff, Hong Kong cinema. And when they first showed the trailers, I was so hyped for Iron Fist, and it was a big letdown, season 1. But going back to Black Widow real quick, I want to go back to Taskmaster. So I agree. I don't think it matters that they recast or change the gender of the character. I agree with you. It fit the role. I did think the whole twist that she was the daughter of Dreykov was a little too obvious. I almost thought it would have been better if she ended up being Black Widow's mom, her quote unquote mom from the spy family. But besides that fact. I'm a fan of Black Widow. I love I'm sorry, not Black Widow, Taskmaster, and I love the fact that Taskmaster's powers almost kind of put her on par with any of the skilled fighters in the MCU. The trailers built up this character that can mimic heroes and Captain America and all that kind of stuff, and they did not kind of stick the landing in the movie. I feel like it only came into play maybe in that first fight. Yeah, you saw every move she did that was a mimic in the trailer, and that's it. Nothing new. And I feel like that was a big letdown for me. I wanted to see her go more toe-to-toe with Natasha and really kind of hold her own and kind of essentially beat Natasha's ass a few times and have her escape, through like friends and help and whatever. The first fight on the bridge, that's exactly what happened. And you could see that she was mimicking her moves and all that stuff. And then after that, it was nothing. It was a chase scene, some really quick fight scenes, and that was it.
Red Room scene with Natasha fighting all the widows should have been Yelena.
I agree.
And then you have Alexei come and save her with the gas. And Natasha is fighting Taskmaster.
I agree. That's how it should have been. 100%.
I think it's a stronger showing. Although I love David Harbour in the movie, I thought he was amazing. I thought he was really good as Red Guardian.
Well, he's fantastic, and honestly, he should. I can't wait to see him come back into the MCU, and I know Feige has said a few times now that he wants to bring him back sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, now that they're keeping Yelena, it looks like he'll probably be sticking around also.
I do think at some point, so I know, speaking of Red Guardian, he talked a lot about how, he kept saying he had a history with Captain America, and he was almost like disappointed that the world didn't see him at the same level. I would love to see him show up in Captain America 4 with Sam Wilson as Captain America and let them either fight, maybe go at it a couple times and then team up. You know what I mean? That would be cool.
Well, I thought they were almost hinting at until Ursa asked him when it was. He said the 80s. Mm-hmm. I thought they were almost hinting at him fighting Isaiah Bradley when Isaiah Bradley was Captain America.
I didn't think of that. That would be cool.
Until Ursa's and they wasted Ursa.
100%. 100% they wasted him.
Yeah. So
I do think kind of one last note on Black Widow. I did think that they did a good job setting up Yelena to be the new Black Widow in the MCU. But my take on it is that with the after credit scene of Contessa, whatever her name is, showing up, is that she's going to start off as more of like a villain or an anti-hero kind of thing, and almost build her way up into the Avengers.
I think she's going to be double agent.
Yeah, to start.
I think now this is a thought that I had because they confirmed Echo or Hawkeye. She's going to be the caster and everything, so she's definitely going to be in Hawkeye. What if Echo is one of the widows?
I think that's a great idea. That's a phenomenal way to set it up.
Yelena's working with Clint to they're out there trying to save the rest of these widows.
I think that would be a good that would be a good direction to take the story in. I know Disney had hinted at Black Widow being a trilogy, but I wonder if the thought is it starts off in the Black Widow movie and then moves to Disney Plus as a show, which I think makes sense. I feel like it'll work as a show, as an episodic kind of thing, and you can do a few seasons. At least a show, like one season with Hawkeye, so that she can establish herself as the new Black Widow of this universe. That's interesting, yeah. So
I don't think right now, if you did another movie with her, she can't carry a movie.
No,
it's not going to have the same gravitas.
Right, no one's going to care. No one's going to go. No one's going to see it. Yeah.
But if you bring some depth to her and build her up slowly through the shows, and then give her own movie, then I think that she'll have a much stronger.
I do feel like. Do you think they're setting up Thunderbolt Ross to become Red Hulk?
So I've been saying that for a while. The heart attack thing in Civil War. The fact at the beginning of Black Widow, definitely, because she was given the you look like shit type of thing.
Right. I mean, they made it a point for her to say that to him. I feel like they have to be setting it up.
So the problem is, when are they going to bring in Red Hulk? And William Hurt is getting older every.
Well, I agree. So I do feel like they need to kind of pick up the pace a little bit, but I think that's where the Thunderbolts are heading. And I almost feel like, so we know now that Abomination is going to be in Shang-Chi.
Yes.
So I almost feel like we're going to get some sort of further hint of Red Hulk coming, because in Shang-Chi, the fact that Abomination's there means that Ross has probably lost him. Excuse me. He has no idea where he is. He's maybe trying to find him. Who knows what's going to happen?
There's an explanation for that, though.
Is it because it? No, is it because Shang-Chi is between the 5 years of a? Oh wait, so
Shield had him. There's a Marvel. Remember? All right, so this is going back to Phase 1.
The one shot you're talking about, right?
What happened?
You're talking about the Marvel one shot?
Yes.
Where they're in the diner, right? I can't remember that. It's Clark.
Oh, they're in a store getting robbed. Coulson and I'm sorry, they're in a diner.
It's Coulson and Sitwell or whatever his name is, right?
Yeah, Sitwell. It was Coulson and Sitwell.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And Sitwell was saying that they could activate Bronski because they still had him.
Right. Damn, that was such a long time ago. That's back in Phase 1.
It's been popping up more and more, and those one shots Feige has come out and said that they are canon.
So, I did read a rumor that Shang-Chi the movie takes place in the 5-year gap between Thanos' snap and Hulk's snap. Smart Hulk snap. Which would almost kind of explain why Wong is fighting in some underground tournament and why Abomination happens to be there too. Yeah. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I feel like I agree with you. They're absolutely hinting at a Red Hulk. And, to answer your question about William Hurt just getting older and older, I mean, with Red Hulk, they can go the Smart Hulk route and just make it a full-blown CG character for the Thunderbolts movie.
That's definitely true. They could go that way. I don't know if we're going to get a Thunderbolts movie or a Thunderbolts show. I don't think we're going to get a Dark Avengers movie.
I don't think so either. I don't think they have the time.
Yeah. Well, it's not even that. I think what they're just going to do is take the Dark Avengers, take the Thunderbolts,
and combine them,
put them together, call him the Thunderbolts because he's Thunderbolt Ross.
Right.
You know what I mean? And because, let's be honest, the name Dark Avengers is kind of hokey.
Right. Right.
You know, you put Dark Avengers on a movie title, everybody's like, what the hell? Like,
Well,
this is stupid.
so I kind of feel like what they could do is take the Dark Avengers idea and make that a specific movie. So you have just for one movie, you have a couple of villains pretending to be heroes. It doesn't have to be a whole superhero team. It's just kind of a storyline that they deal with, and by the end of the movie, it's done, and they move on. Similar to you know how they handled the Skrulls in Captain Marvel, like you know, one and done, kind of move on from it without spending too much time.
I do think that's kind of what I'm saying is that they're going to take the idea of the Dark Avengers, put it under the Thunderbolts banner, you know, make the Thunderbolts and the Dark Avengers kind of the same thing.
I'm wondering if the Young Avengers and the Thunderbolts are going to be strictly Disney Plus.
I think they're going to wind up fighting each other in a movie.
So that kind of makes sense if they do Disney Plus shows to kind of build these teams up, and then the movie is a Young Avengers versus Thunderbolts kind of movie. That would be cool. I'd be into it. Listen, at this point, I'm into anything Marvel does.
100%.
Yeah.
And think of it. You have Red Hulk, you have She-Hulk on the other side. I don't think they're going to do Hulkling because that's going to be going all the way to Secret Invasion.
Yeah, and that's they have time for that though. I mean, you know, I feel Marvel's got so much material. We'll be watching Marvel movies till we're in a nursing home watching them on a tiny TV.
You ain't kidding. But I think that's the route they're going to go. Especially, you got Thunderbolt Ross, you got Elena now, who's going to probably play both sides. You have U.S. Agent. I think they're going to bring Ghost into that, bring her back.
Agreed.
She'll probably be on the Thunderbolt side. Possibly even Goliath. You bring Lawrence Fishburne back, have him play Goliath.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
You know, so there's a lot of different ways they can go through this. I don't think we're going to see Norman Osborn.
Not for a while.
I don't think we're going to get that version of the Thunderbolts. Especially since they already had Iron Patriot.
Right.
They already did that whole storyline.
Right.
You know, you got Armor Wars coming up. I know I've been hearing a lot of rumors about that. You know, I'm hearing that they're bringing Baronfall back to take over the War Machine armor.
I heard about that. Yep.
War Machine armor, which I think would be amazing. But you know, there's just so much. There's so much going out there. It's hard to keep track of after a little while. You know what I mean?
Oh, well,
a lot can be answered though. I think very soon.
Well, it gets out of hand when we start trying to predict what's coming. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think the three linchpins right now are going to be Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and where's my head just at? I lost it.
Ant-Man.
Doctor Strange, Spider-Man, and Ant-Man. Yeah.
I mean, I do feel like. So I go back and forth, just kind of jumping a little bit to Loki. This is a good segue to Loki. Kang is a phenomenal, villain, a phenomenal follow-up to Thanos. But I'm curious to know how they plan on using him. Is he going to be, a 10-year villain that we deal with for a long time? Or are they going to be dealing with this for what I think they're going to do is like maybe 1 phase, 2 phases at the most, and then he's done and they move on to another villain? I don't know if they're going to build up for 10 years again.
I think Kang's going to be a villain that sets up next villain.
I agree. Like, so I feel like we're going to be dealing with Kang. He's going to pop up a few more times through Ant-Man 3. And then I almost feel like Ant-Man 3, they deal with him, the Kang character, Kang the Conqueror, I should say, and then we move on to something else.
Yeah, I think they're going to deal with the Council of Kangs in Ant-Man 3.
That's what I feel like too. It almost just makes sense. They're going to the quantum realm. The movie's called Quantumania, and we're hearing more and more rumors about more and more MCU actors appearing in Ant-Man 3. Like, I think that's going to be. It almost feels like between Doctor Strange 2, Spider-Man No Way Home, and Ant-Man Quantumania, we're going to get 3 Avengers style movies where there's going to be a major moments in each one of those. Yeah,
I kind of feel the same way. I did recently see something. I don't know if you saw this also. That if you sync up,
I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah, if you sync up Scarlet Witch or WandaVision rather, and Loki, their finales. If you sync them up, at the point where Wanda gets her powers, she goes full blown Scarlet Witch. That's when Kang says he feels a disturbance and this, that, and the other thing, and
right when. There's 2 other things. When Agatha dies or falls, that's at that exact moment Kang drops like the pebble onto his desk.
Okay.
And then right when he gets stabbed and the multiverse essentially explodes into branching timelines is when Wanda hears her children through the realms.
Yeah, that one I saw.
One Shot, real quick. One Shot just said he thinks that Kang will be around for multiple movies, not 10 years, and his theory is that Kang will be one of the Fantastic Four main baddies for a little bit.
I can see that. I mean, they may do, instead of doing Kang the Conqueror, they may do the Franklin Richards.
Right. I do think the beauty of the Kang character is that they could almost like kill off Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man 3, say, but you could still bring the character back anytime you want. Yeah. And just he's another version. He's just from another timeline. Yeah. He's another character.
And I love the guy that's playing him. Jonathan Majors was amazing.
I don't know. So I did make a joke. If you watch my YouTube video where I react to the show, I did make a joke that, I really felt like Kang needs to have some sort of accent. Not necessarily, like, to me, the best villains in movies have British accents, so I would love for him to have a British accent. But, like, at first I was like, this is the guy who's going to be Kang. But the way he played that version of Kang immediately got me hooked. I was kind of like, all right, you sold me. I trust you. Do what you want to
do. I mean, it seems like he had a much bigger plan at play the entire time. It seemed like he was playing everything, sitting in the House of Ideas with, being the last one there, or he who was last, or whatever.
I do think that version of Kang was Immortus. I think that was supposed to be the MCU version of Immortus, the last Kang alive. Probably the most powerful Kang, but also the least evil Kang.
I mean, that's definitely it's so hard to tell right now because it's so early on in this Kang.
Yeah, it's all we're guessing, right? At this point,
basically, the only guy that knows is 5G at this point.
the fucking guy. I would love to just be a fly on the wall and you just know what's coming,
I know. I love Loki. I thought it was amazing. Hiddleston's so good, man. He's so good at that character.
Yeah, he was born to play that character.
It's such a perfect character for him. I think it's setting up some really big things. I know that we've spoken about already that there were supposed to be more episodes, and COVID kind of killed that. And that's why we kind of got an abrupt ending. Because I thought it was a little abrupt. I don't know if it's going to be 12. I think they're missing 2 episodes.
So 2 things. One Shot just told me that I should do the rest of the stream with a British accent. I'm not going to because I'm not good at it and I don't want to offend anybody. But maybe I'll practice it. No, you're right. I won't do it. One Shot. I won't do it. But number 2, I don't want to say that I felt like it was an abrupt ending. I think, in my opinion, I just was enjoying the show so much that I didn't want it to end. Yeah. I do feel like my biggest complaint about the show, let me just jump into my complaint real quick, is the whole kind of Loki/Loki romance. I didn't think it was necessary. We didn't need it. It almost felt forced to me. But in that respect, if they had another episode or 2 of the 2 of them bonding a little bit, maybe it would have felt better.
It almost felt like Tom Hiddleston had it written to his contract that he needs to get a love interest.
Right, and he hasn't had one, right, in however many appearances as Loki. So
like it almost felt like that was contractual,
just to give him something to swoon over. I really just didn't like it. It's one thing. Like the kiss at the end was definitely a distraction, so that she can get the that wristband that Kang was using. So I have no problem really with the kiss. But for me, the scene that really went over kind of jumped the shark in that respect was the whole blanket scene when they're sitting next to each other and they, Loki, when he created like a cloak or whatever, and they're like kind of cuddling. I was like, come on, man, we don't need that. It just didn't fit the character.
It kind of does fit the character, though.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say, but I don't know.
He's the ultimate narcissist. So the only person he could fall in love with would be himself.
Which, maybe, again, they maybe need another episode.
I don't think we needed to see it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I wouldn't say it doesn't fit the character.
I do hope that we see like Eliath again. You know, I thought the visuals on Eliath were amazing,
Yeah,
and
especially for a show.
especially
Instead of
for a
being a
show.
movie.
And all I could
Yeah.
think of was I wanted to call Fox and just kind of tell him this is how you make a big cloud monster, not Galactus. You fucking like. All I kept thinking was like, how does Marvel on a show? And I understand they're giving it a bigger budget than most shows, but how does Marvel on a TV show create a creature like that that looks
Yeah.
like it's really there? That it looks like the actors are really interacting with it. It was intimidating. It was scary. And then Fox, you know, go back to Galactus with Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, and they can't make. First of all, Galactus as a cloud is a terrible choice anyway, but they can't at least make it look intimidating. It's so frustrating.
It's the curse of the Fantastic Four, my friend.
They could be,
Every movie
it could be
is-
such good movies, you know what I mean? And ironically, the only good part of those movies was Chris Evans. It's like,
I mean, it makes sense though.
yeah, no, it does, it does.
Makes sense.
So, what
I mean,
do you
it's
think?
gonna be,
Sorry, go.
you know, Loki. The whole show from start to finish, I did appreciate the 6 episodes because it trimmed all the fat. Basically, we
Yeah,
got
there's
no
something to be said
filler
for that.
episode. We got no episode where you're just kind of like, all right, well, I mean, like, whatever. It was an episode, you know?
Right.
Like, every episode meant something. It moved the story along. Every episode had some sort of point to it,
Right.
you know, which was refreshing to see. You know,
I agree.
so-
I mean, there's definitely something to be said for that. And I do think a big thing. Oh, just a side note, real quick. One Shot wants me to put my face on Kang now. What's better, One Shot, as the thumbnail for YouTube? My face on Kang or my face on Black Widow? Or maybe both. I'll put them both on the thumbnail. So I think one thing that Loki had going for it was that it, from the beginning, felt very much like that was the show that was going to lead us into Phase 4 of the MCU. Whereas WandaVision was a good show, and Captain America or Falcon and Winter Soldier was a good show, but those were very much almost felt like one-off shows. Like, you know, they were just kind of side stories of those characters. Now it looks like WandaVision's a much bigger, you know, player, but, you know, we didn't know that at the time. But Loki, I feel like it just felt like it was going to be a major show and really implicate a lot of what's coming, and it delivered on that, in my opinion. I mean, the What If show, as much as I was a fan of the What If show and I was excited for it, after Loki, now knowing that those stories are basically canon and separate realities and all that stuff, makes it even better for that show.
Oh yeah, if they came out recently, like the other day, and said that What If's going to be canon
100%.
based on the multiverse, which is amazing that they're doing that.
One Shot
I think
says
it's set up-
that he thinks Loki was absolutely amazing because it displayed even more character development for the character Loki than he already had shown in the movies. That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, I love the way they set it up too with the first episode of them having missed minutes and the TVA kind of explained to him his entire life.
Yeah.
But you automatically went from that 2012 Loki to post Ragnarok Loki.
Right. Which is amazing to me, that like to have a group of writers that are that in tune with the character, and like to come up with a way to kind of say, look, we need to get him to speed up here, but in a way that's believable and makes sense, and then use the TVA giving him a little highlight reel of his life was awesome. I will say one thing that I felt slowed down the show at times was the fact that they kind of kept revisiting that well. So in episode 1, we kind of see him learn his lesson a little bit of like, you know, this is where I was headed. I need to do something different. And then the best example I can give is then we go to episode, I think it's 5, when he was in the Void, and he's essentially learning the same lesson from all the other Lokis, that no matter what, he was basically destined to be the bad guy. And to me, I felt like, all right, we get it. You know, he learned that lesson. Let's move on. It didn't ruin the show, obviously. I still think the show was the best one out of the 3.
But isn't it kind of Loki because he never learned his lesson?
Yeah, I guess, but
You know
I
what I
think I guess for me, it's like it's hard to erase the 10 years of Loki that we had. You know, it's almost like you're watching the same character go through the same development.
We had 10 years of character development, and then they had to do that all over again.
Right.
In 6 episodes, 6 hours,
Basically, and for me, it was like, I guess it was a little hard for me at times to separate the fact that this was not the Loki that tried to kill Thanos. This was a different Loki that didn't try that stuff and is trying to prevent it from happening, for sure.
Yeah, it was definitely tough to separate the two from. I think that's why they did so good in the first episode. That's what made it tough.
Yeah,
because then he became the same Loki, and he was acted the same way. Hiddleston did a good job of it's a small thing, but it's something that I picked up on is when he gets his neck broken, he's got that look of like, oh my God, like I was meant for glorious purpose.
Right. And this is how I go out.
Never happened.
Right. Like almost like he was convinced that he was going to do great things no matter what happened in New York and whatever what happened with Thanos, and then he finds that he basically just got his neck snapped and dropped on the floor like nothing.
Yeah.
I did think the twist reveal of the timekeepers, was amazing. I
kind of saw it coming.
Well, you knew they were fake or that there was more to it than just these three guys. But the fact that they're just like robots.
There's no way
they're
going to give us the timekeepers.
Yeah.
Because it was such a stupid thing in the comics too.
Well, it was, but they did give us the Watchers, and in the one shot in Guardians 2, we do see the Watchers there, so they could do it. You know what I mean? But
but what made that good was that Stan Lee was a Watcher.
That was phenomenal.
That's what made that good. You know what I'm saying? Because like it was a throwaway too. Because it was just, like it was a perfect, and that was also a fan theory. Because there was a fan theory all along that Stan Lee was the Watcher because he was constantly in every movie. And then he was like, all right, let's make it canon.
What do you think is going to happen with Loki appearing in Doctor Strange 2 now?
It's so hard. There's a big thing going on right now about Scarlet Witch and Loki both being Nexus beings.
Which it's possible, although
no, it's not though, because like, see, this is where I get a little, particular.
I want to hear it. Give it to me.
Scarlet Witch in the comics, in the movies, they've already explained, is a Nexus level being. Right. That means she is a constant. That means she's the exact same Scarlet Witch in every single universe.
Right.
That's what being Nexus level being is.
Right, and she could jump between the universes on her, like
she could jump between the universes and everything like that. You've already disproven that Loki is that by having all the variants.
So, well, that's just a rumor then. So, that very easily could not be true. So, because so we got Scarlet Witch. So that explains why Scarlet Witch is going to be in Doctor Strange too, because he's going to need somebody who can help him, I guess, manipulate things in different universes. Loki being in Doctor Strange 2, though, so my theory is that Loki's going to be held captive by the TVA, because at the end of the show we saw that he went back to Mobius and he didn't recognize him. So I think they're going to throw him in one of their cells and kind of be like, listen, we'll deal with you later. We got other stuff to worry about. Doctor Strange is going to need to break him out of it, and I think he's going to use Wanda's help. He's going to need Wanda's help to do it, because there's no magic in the TVA except for probably Wanda, since she's a Nexus being.
Well, I mean, yeah.
So I think that's going to be how they kind of combine, and then the three of them are going to go and maybe fight whoever they got to fight, Mephisto or whoever it is.
I think that Loki is going to manipulate his way into becoming a TVA agent.
Okay.
This is the master manipulator. I think he's going to realize immediately that he can't let them know that they have no idea what's going on, and he's going to play along with them. Because they kept asking what division you work for. So we're like,
yeah.
That one. You know what I mean? Like,
One Shot just asked for a quick catch up. So basically we're talking now about how Loki and WandaVision play into Doctor Strange 2. Kind of our theories of what's going to happen in that movie. What you're saying about Loki kind of manipulating his way into the TVA, that's a possibility. We really don't know. Yeah. I will say that in Doctor Strange 2, I feel like we're going to get some payoff to the whole Mephisto hints, but it's going to be another version of Kang who's just taking the name Mephisto in whatever timeline or universe it is.
I'll be so upset if that's what it is.
I just don't think they're gonna really go into that dimension. So, because here's the thing, Doctor Strange talks about a lot of dimensions, and we saw the dark dimension, the mirror dimension, and so forth. But the movie's called the Multiverse of Madness. And does that term apply to multiple timelines and multiple universes, or other dimensions?
I think all the universes have delved into chaos.
Right. So in that case, a Kang could have taken over, whatever universe that he wants, and he's going to be named whatever that people want to call him. And if he's dressing like with the horns or whatever, people are going to call him Mephisto. I don't know if they're going to go the whole devil route. You know what I mean? I feel like they're going to avoid that for the movies.
Looking at everything now, I don't think we're going to get Mephisto in Doctor Strange.
One Shot says that he thinks Wanda is going to be a villain at the beginning of Doctor Strange 2, and then almost like switch into becoming a hero and teaming up. And he thinks the main villain is going to be Nightmare, which I think is what the rumored villain is. It's Nightmare. I don't know. I don't know if they can confirm that yet, but that is what the strong rumor is.
I mean, listen, there's a good chance that WandaVision doesn't even deal much with the multiverse. It just may deal with, like, we may be going too far with Kang into WandaVision yet. I think that's going to be dealt with mostly with Ant-Man.
Okay.
You know, so I think with Loki going into the Doctor Strange movie, I think we don't know. He may not be a main character in it. He may just have a cameo at the end.
Yeah.
I
mean, which is true. I do think, though, Kang needs to appear in more than just, Loki and then Spider-Man, or then Quantum, Ant-Man 3. Like, I want to see Kang pop up a few times from now until then.
I think he's going to. I just don't think it's going. I think Kang pops up in Spider-Man.
I think he does too. And here's my out there theory. I think Loki shows up in Spider-Man also. I think Spider-Man's going to deal more with the multiverse, interacting. Doctor Strange is going to be in it. I feel like we're going to see a lot more cameos than they're letting on right now.
Yeah, so do I. I mean, like, it's going to go cameo crazy in that movie because it's just.
I think that's the reason why we haven't seen a trailer yet. I think that they're holding it as long as possible.
I saw a leaked one.
Was it a real one though? Because I've been seeing a lot of leaked ones that look good and they're all fan made.
I saw one that looked like it was somebody taking it on a cell phone in a screening room.
Maybe that's it. I hate to ruin it for myself, so I don't know if I'm going to go Googling it. I kind of want to wait for the big announcement, but it's got to be soon. We got to see something soon. Even the Eternals, we haven't seen much of the Eternals, and that comes out in September.
And I think that's gonna be more important than anybody even realizes.
I agree. I think that's why we haven't seen anything. They haven't shown shit. I think it's obvious now. The reason that the Eternals come out of hiding is because of the multiverse collapsing.
Yeah. Well, there's the line in the trailer that we've been in hiding up until now.
Right. So I think it's them basically stepping out and going, all right, we got to do something about this.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big setup for the future of the MCU.
I think the Eternals is going to be much more important than anybody thinks. Because what are we getting this year? We're getting Shang-Chi, the Eternals, and Spider-Man, right?
Yeah. That's it for this year. And I think we get What If and the Hawkeye show this year. And
Hawkeye's like December, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Or October.
I think Hawkeye's November. So we get What If next month in August. Yeah. We get Shang-Chi in September. We get Eternals in either October or November. I think it's probably November. And then we get Spider-Man, which is going to be right around Christmas time.
Yeah.
Put my face on Loki now.
I mean, there's a lot of not up in the air right now, but I think I think a lot of these, like Loki and Black Widow, have given us more questions than answers.
Oh, 100%. Which is kind of par for the course with the MCU. I feel like
usually we have some sort of idea at this point about where things are heading.
Yeah. And
this is all over the place.
Yeah. I do think it's good and bad. Like, I love the theories. I love coming up with different opinions on what's going to happen. But I do wish we kind of knew a little bit more of what was going to happen, so we could almost
get hyped. Us talking about it, right? So they're doing their job the right way.
That's the overall goal, I guess, right? Is to get us to just talk about it.
Yeah, they got us talking about it. So I mean, they're doing a good job then.
Right now, One Shot just asked me to put my face on Loki, so I'm trying to do it for you, my man. Or actually, I'm putting Loki's face on me, if that makes sense. So I don't know if it looks as good as he wants it to look, but it'll have to do.
New variant, brother.
Yeah. So aside now, one thing that's interesting, and this is why I think that we're going to be dealing with Kang not for as long as people expect us to, is what I'm kind of noticing is that this year was all about the new characters. So we got WandaVision, which basically introduced us to the real Scarlet Witch. We got Falcon and Winter Soldier, which brought in a new Captain America. Even though it was Sam, it's a new Captain America. Loki now introduced to us Kang, or He Who Remains, whatever, the newest villain, essentially, and the TVA, some new faces. We got Shang-Chi, brand new guy. We got the Eternals, a brand new team of heroes. Spider-Man No Way Home, I believe the No Way Home is basically referencing the fact that Tom Holland will be a part of the Sony universe after that movie and will no longer be a part of the MCU. That's why I think they're calling it No Way Home, and I think that's going to kind of give him to Sony so that they can do him and Venom, Carnage, and whatever they want to do.
I don't know what their contract is.
From what I understand, he's only signed on for one more appearance, which is the next Spider-Man movie.
Oh, but I don't know what Sony's contract with Disney is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They'll get him to sign on for more because he's not gonna give up Spider-Man money anymore.
Right, and I think at this point too, Sony is kind of, they finally have realized that allowing Marvel to kind of run with the properties that they own is more lucrative to everybody rather than trying to do your own thing and just kind of fucking it up.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're gonna go that route. The Sony deal really screws up a lot because we're missing out on key components here that could be used to really further a lot of stuff along.
I mean, they did say, who was it? The head guy, whatever, at Sony did make a comment that there is a long-term plan to essentially combine the universes at some point.
Yeah.
So anyway, I mean,
it would make sense.
So anyway, so if you think about it, this year we have essentially introductions to new characters, and then next year it's Thor 4, Doctor Strange 2, Guardians 3, Wakanda Forever, and then that basically ends, I think, with Thor 4. Now that I say it out loud, but it seems like by the end of that, and then in early 2023 is Ant-Man. So I feel like we're gonna basically be dealing with Kang through the remainder of this year, the remainder of next year, and then Ant-Man starts 2023 by ending it with Kang and setting up a phase 5 and 6 going forward with Blade coming and Fantastic Four and Miss Marvels and a bunch of, or the Marvels and a couple of the other, some other new characters that haven't been announced yet. In 2023, we're also getting Moon Knight, we're getting She-Hulk, so we're getting a lot of new fresh faces for the MCU.
Yeah, and I think you're right on the money with that. I think Kang's going to play through all of those. I don't know where it's going to culminate. It's going to have to culminate somewhere.
I think you're right. So I think it's going to culminate with the Council of Kangs, or Council of Ricks, if you will. I think that's how it's going to end for sure. And I think that they're smart, because I remember the first thing I said when they mentioned Natalie Portman coming back and being Thor with the hammer, the first thing I asked was, well, where'd you get the hammer from? It doesn't exist anymore. So now that's an easy explanation. They've pretty much kind of fixed any plot holes in old movies and new ones. They basically fixed them all with Loki. Yeah. So,
I don't think she's going to be Thor for the whole movie.
No, I think she'll grab the hammer or something right at the end of the movie, get the powers, kind of help save the day, and have to return the hammer to wherever she got it from. I don't think it's going to be an entire movie of Thor.
So going back to the Sony thing, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think
One Shot says that the rumors Tom Holland will be doing 3 more movies for Marvel?
Yeah. I'd imagine that they'll back the pickup truck to that kid. You know what I'm saying? They'll back the truck full of money up to that kid and be like, just be Spider-Man forever.
Yeah, 100%.
He's young enough. They can go into like adult Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like that was their problem with Tobey, is they got him too old.
Yeah.
They got this kid when he was 17. And they were like, you're Spider-Man now. You know?
Right. And he's like, yeah, I'll be Spider-Man until I'm 50.
Yeah, exactly.
So what were you going to ask?
So now with Thor Love and Thunder, do you think that's how they link Sony and Marvel, by bringing in Null?
I'm going to say no. I think Sony, while they want to play ball with Marvel, they had success with Venom. And while I think the Venom 2 trailer does not look that great, I think Morbius looks phenomenal. And they had the little hint with Vulture. So I think I feel my theory is that for the foreseeable future, both universes will be able to almost like borrow characters as needed. So, like in the Blade movie, it would make so much sense if Morbius shows up in Blade. So I almost feel like the understanding is going to be, look, you can do what you want, build out your own universe, but if we want them, you got to give them to us for 1 or 2 movies. Like kind of loan them out for a movie or 2. Yeah. So that's kind of my thing. So I don't think we're going to have a full combination until we get to Avengers versus X-Men, which is not going to be for another 10 years from now.
Well, my thing is this: I think the way they link him is no.
I mean, listen, he's there,
You're
right?
bringing Gore the God Butcher into Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right.
He holds the all black Necro sword,
Right.
which is Null's first symbiote. Right? It's an easy bridge.
It's a very easy bridge, and I feel like they'd be almost be silly not to do that.
And it may not be a full appearance of Null, but that might be how they start laying the seeds.
I will say, so I don't disagree with that. I think that they will use that as almost like a subtle hint for the deep comic book nerds that like that, you know, oh, check this out. Like this could be a link, it could not be linked. They're not going to say anything. And then maybe, you know, we'll start to see more and more of those kind of hints as the movies go on. But I really feel like this is all going to culminate with, at some point, like phase 6, maybe phase 7, they're gonna introduce real mutants into Gambit and Mystique and whatever. They're gonna introduce real mutants into their own
much
movies.
earlier than that.
I don't think so. I hope so. I will say I hope that I'm wrong and that they're introduced sooner rather than later. I feel like they're not gonna do it though.
I think WandaVision kind of let us know that they're going to introduce them much sooner.
I hope. I really do, but I feel like
it looks like they're going M Day.
But here, my only problem though is that how do you do it? Like, are you gonna stay away from the classic X-Men that people love, the Cyclops, Wolverine, so on and so forth?
No, you can still bring them all in.
I feel like they're gonna stay away from them because they're too fresh. You know, the biggest problem with Spider-Man
is that it's too fresh. What I think is going to happen, because I know originally when Feige said that they were going to get X-Men, his plan was to bring in not the X-Men.
Right, like one or two, like individual mutants, and then build up to the X-Men. Yeah.
You bring in Storm, she's in Black Panther as Aurora Monroe. You bring in Logan with Cap, maybe he fought alongside him in World War II, in one of the House Commandos, something along those lines. You sprinkle these key mutants into the other movies, and then eventually it kind of you bring everybody together that way.
I mean, I think I like that idea, and I think that's the way they should do it. I just don't think it's going to happen.
I think they do it the same way. Just do M Day. You know,
they could listen. They could almost be building. Maybe Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness refers to M Day. You know, and that's by the end of it, Scarlet Witch accidentally basically activates the mutant gene.
We already saw that her aura gave Photon her powers.
See, my thing is that I feel like what they're gonna do instead is like maybe she'll activate the mutant gene, but it'll be in a separate universe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
There could also be a link with Eternals.
There could be for sure.
The Eternals did create the mutants.
I mean, they have so many openings to kind of get into that realm.
That's what I'm saying. I think it's going to be a lot sooner than anybody thinks. We might find out in Eternals that Eternals comes before Doctor Strange, right?
Eternals is a couple months from now.
So we might find out in Eternals that they put the X gene in these people already, and then in Doctor Strange, Wanda might activate it.
That would be amazing if they freaking.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm telling you, I really do think they're moving.
I will say as a hint that you're right. Number one, did you see the Deadpool MCU introduction?
Yes.
So right there, that's our first official mutant in the MCU is Deadpool now. And it was Deadpool. It wasn't, some character who kind of looked like it was Deadpool 100%. And so I actually have a theory about why that even released. But before I get into that, I think the second hint, though, that you might be right is that Hugh Jackman posted on his Instagram a picture of Logan with the claws out, followed by a picture of him with Kevin Feige. And, and then no caption, no anything, and then posted something else about someone's birthday and kind of just changed the subject. So, I mean, that's a big hint that something might be there.
Big time.
I do think
I saw that from Jackman.
Yeah, so my theory about why they released the Deadpool reaction video to Free Guy with Korg, I think it was one, just to obviously poke fun at the movie and whatever, but two, I think it was a test to see if Deadpool could be a funny character if you bleep out the curses.
I already had that test.
But when did they do that though?
They did that when they released Deadpool 2 PG-13.
Oh, but that still wasn't the MCU version of Deadpool. I feel like
it wasn't the MCU version, but it was It was Deadpool without cursing, though.
I didn't watch that one though. Was that? I mean, is it worth watching?
It's worth watching.
I didn't watch it just because like
there's a lot of like extra funny bits they do with the Fred Savage thing.
Okay,
that's in the movie.
Okay,
that is in the actual movie that they cut back to him multiple times.
I will say that the MCU may have shot themselves in the foot though, because if you finally release a Deadpool for the MCU, a movie, and you don't have Korg as a major player in it, I'm gonna be upset now. Because their little like idiotic banter went so well together.
I think Taika Waititi directed Free Guy too.
Yeah, he did, and that movie looks amazing to me. I don't care what anyone says; it's gonna be funny.
Oh yeah, I think it's gonna be great. I mean, that guy, like, he's a great director.
Oh, he's a phenomenal director. He knows how to do comedy. He knows how to do drama and the heartstrings and all that kind of stuff. I'm excited.
If you saw Jojo Rabbit, he knows how to do dark comedy too.
Yeah, Jojo Rabbit's an underrated movie. I feel like nobody watches that movie, but it's worth watching if you can find it on streaming services. I'm sure it's available somewhere. It's worth watching 100%.
100%. But I think that's where we're going with this, man. I really do. I think Heidi already came out and said that Deadpool's going to be rated R.
He did say that, so they could do the cursing and stuff like that. But my thing is though, with the bleeping of the curses out, when you put Deadpool into the Avengers or into some of these other movies, you can't have him cursing like crazy. Censor him. I will say though, I do think Marvel so far is missing out on an opportunity to have Ryan Reynolds in the Deadpool costume, and I've said this a few times now. He should be the new Stan Lee cameo. Don't say anything about it. Don't even acknowledge it. Just have him appear as Deadpool as a different person in every movie, breaking the fourth wall. It fits the character so well, and it'll keep the idea of the Stan Lee cameo alive. I think it'd be amazing.
I'm not disagreeing.
Oh, One Shot sent me a picture. Hold on. One Shot put my head on Loki. Hold on, let me see if I can get this onto the computer. You're not gonna be able to see it from that far away, I don't think.
No, probably not.
Can't see it. I'm gonna have to. This might be the thumbnail. This might be the thumbnail, honestly. Thank you, One Shot. This might
One Shot's hard work here.
I wasn't ignoring you. I didn't look. All right, I was kind of ignoring you, I guess. But anyway, so I guess I feel like this is we're probably gonna come up with more stuff offline too. So we're gonna have to have another chat very soon. Thank you for taking the time and chatting with me.
Brother.
We don't have to wait too long for the What If show, so we'll definitely get online again for that. And we'll definitely talk for Eternals too. I mean, I don't mind having a chat with you about after all these things. We have a lot to talk about coming forward. So,
we got DC stuff coming too. Suicide Squad's at the end of the month.
I can't wait for Suicide Squad. I think it looks amazing. I don't care what anyone says. I hated the first one, but this one looks like it's fixing every problem the first one had.
Yeah, come on, man. Starro's the villain. We can't go wrong.
The moment they showed Starro, I was like, that's it. I'm into it. I'm into this movie now. This is what the first Suicide Squad should have been. Just like campy nonsense, rated R violence. Like that's what the first one should have been. Not what we got, the dark freaking story of how Will Smith is a hero again. So
exactly.
But anyway, thank you so much. And for anyone who is jumping in late or may have missed some stuff, I'm going to post a recap for the whole video. I'm sorry for the technological issues in the beginning of it. The recap will go up on YouTube in the next couple of days. And again, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, Snapchat, GGEN, Generational Gaming and Entertainment Network, or GGEN. Thank you, Zuplex City, for having a nice little nerd chat with me, and I will have you back soon. And we'll see you guys next week.
Hey, buddy.